Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laurie and today we're going to talk about something a little bit more serious. I have been kind of stepping off the serious things on my channel. I just didn't want to do that anymore. I just kind of wanted to keep it light and happy and to be an outlet in these kind of days where people can watch and feel relaxed and feel like kind of a retreat, like a getaway from reality. And that's why I've been doing vlogs and I've been doing like fun hauls and cooking videos and all of that. But something happened recently to me that I wanted to talk about because it has something to do with my migraine. So in previous videos of mine I've explained that I have chronic migraine. I explained what it is. I also have a video up that shows you what happens when I have a migraine attack, which I will put in like this info box thing here and also put in the description so you can see what a migraine attack looks like to me. Do you want to put a trigger warning on that because it's a bit graphic. The reason I wanted to upload this video and to talk about this is because I want to keep it real when it comes to life of someone with chronic migraine. I know that so many people have migraines and live with people who have migraines. I've befriended with people who have migraines and I just kind of wanted to explain what happened and how I felt so that when it happens to your loved ones you can help them, and when it happens to yourself you can just kind of relate to the story and I don't know, don't feel alone. I'm not sure. For the last 6 months I have been having, I wanted to say no migraine, but that's a lie because I still live with migraine every single day. But for the last 6 months, ever since I stopped birth control, it has been a lot better and I haven't had any major migraine attacks anymore, which is big progress for me because that was honestly such a big step forward for me to have like 6 months without major attacks and without actually having to cancel plans and to kind of rearrange my life around my migraines. For the last 6 months I have not had to do that, which is, I have been living the dream. I still woke up with a migraine and I went to bed with one, but it was like the kind of migraine that you have every single day that you don't need to cancel work or cancel plans or whatever for. So that is something I can deal with. I go through with all my medication and that's fine. I have preventive medication so that my migraine attacks occur less and that when they do occur they're not as painful. I stopped taking that medication 5 months ago, maybe 6 months ago as well. My neurologist, he was like, look, you're doing fine now, you can quit your medication if you want to, and when the pain gets worse you can start that medication again, but it's really strong medication and I can't be taking that for the rest of my life. So I stopped my medication. All went well, like it was going so well, and I'm so proud that for the last 6 months I was almost, good. Like I didn't, for the last 6 months I haven't really struggled with my migraine, and my mum and dad and we were so proud and we were like, okay, maybe I do still have migraines, but I'm not gonna go through the life-changing migraines that make you rearrange your whole life around that migraine and make sure that you don't do certain things because they're triggers for your migraine. So you kind of, your migraine controls your life, and for the last 6 months that was not the case in my situation, which was obviously such a relief. When I'm filming this it's Thursday and last Friday I was working, so I had an early shift in the lab where I've been working for a while now. I had to work from 6 until 2, but we leave the lab at 1:45. Important to keep in mind. Everything was going good. I woke up, went to work on my bike, didn't feel like I was hurting. No, the pain was the same as usual. Everything was good, everything was fine. When I got to work around 9 o'clock, I started to notice, so I was already working for 3 hours, I started to notice that I was getting like shivers, and then one moment I would be sweating and the other I would be really cold, but I didn't have a temperature. So I was kind of like, okay, this is something for me that is an aura that appears hours before I get a migraine attack. But I mean like hours, 10 to 20 hours. So I wasn't concerned that I was going to be having a migraine attack at work. I just knew, okay, I'm gonna just, to prevent that migraine from happening, I'm already gonna take a painkiller just in case that it, you know, starts to occur at work, so that I can finish my shift. I was doing great. Like, I took the painkiller, I was fine, I was doing good. We had lunch, I was doing fine. And then around 12:45, so near the end of my shift, because an hour later we were gonna leave, I had to go like 2 stairs down to like, I had to go somewhere in the company, doesn't matter. And the minute I walked up those stairs again, so 2 staircases, I felt such a horrible pain in my head, and I felt like I was gonna pass out. I felt like at that point, the minute I was like on the ground again, like done with the staircases, I had this throbbing pain in my head, and I felt like I was gonna just I felt like I was just gonna lose conscious. I was not good. I felt nauseous, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a really strong painkiller, because at the time I was upstairs again, it was 1, and in 45 minutes I was able to leave and get changed and go home. So I was like, okay, just an hour left, I can do this. I'm gonna take this really strong painkiller, and that's all. I take the really strong painkiller at 1. I go back into the lab to the test I was doing, and 15 minutes later, I'm realizing that it's going horrible. I couldn't function anymore. Like, my left eye, I was blind on my left eye already, which is something I always have when I have a migraine attack. And I couldn't function anymore. Like, it was a really simple test. It was a really busy day though, so I really needed to hurry up. And I remember just like doing what I always do, but these movements, they just didn't happen. It was like my brain wasn't functioning with my arms anymore, like they were disconnected, and everything that I wanted to do, I wasn't able to do. And the pain I had at that point, I had never had a pain that bad before. I was honestly already in so much pain, and I really wanted to continue work, because I was like, okay, like literally 30 minutes and I'm done with my shift, I can do this. But a friend of mine who I've known for a while, she works with me, and she saw me. I was apparently like rocking like this. I was going like this because I was in so much pain. She came over, she was like, are you okay? Before I know it, like the whole crew, like all my co-workers, my bosses, whatever, they were all surrounding me and asking me whether I was doing good. And I started crying. I was like, I'm not doing good, I'm not doing fine. So they put me in a room. We have this little meeting room. They put me in a really tiny room, put the blinds down, lights off, close the door so that there's no noises, sat me down with some water, able to put my mask off because I was alone in that meeting room, cold water on my face, that's it. At that point, I honestly do not know how to describe it, but the pain that I had was horrible. It was absolutely horrendous, and I do not know how to explain it. I had never in my life been in so much pain before, and I have gone through so many major migraine attacks, but as soon as this one started, I realized that it was going to be horrendous, not just because the pain level, but it started so quickly and it went downhill so quickly. The pain level just started to rise in a matter of seconds, and it was horrible. It was, thinking about it makes me nauseous again, because I honestly have no clue how a person can be in so much pain. I'm really lucky because I work in my dad's firm, so my dad works in the same company as I do, and they were able to get him out of his meeting and bring him to me. He knows exactly what to do. I'm his daughter, he has gone through so many migraine attacks with me, he knows exactly what to do. My migraine attacks, usually the really bad ones, usually last about 30 minutes to an hour of extreme pain. And that is like extreme pain as in I'm hurting myself, I'm doing everything I can to stop the pain, remind me of something else. And normally it's about 32 minutes to an hour. Now, it was quite long. The first attack was about 45 minutes long, and it was one attack where it was 45 minutes of extreme pain. Of me, I do not know how to describe it. I felt like they needed to drill a hole in my head to release the pressure that was inside. I felt like at any moment my brain was going to explode out of my head. My eyes were going to fall out. I do not know. I just felt so bad. I was squeezing my dad's hands. My legs were shaking, I couldn't control them, my arms were shaking, my body was like tensing up, even though I wasn't doing anything. It was just tensing up from the pain, I think, which obviously is not a good thing. I was knocking my head against the wall, I was biting my hands, I was scratching my head, pulling my hair out. I was doing everything I could to release the pain in my head, and just to give myself pain somewhere else so that I don't feel the pain in my head, which is ridiculous, I know. After 35 minutes of being in really extreme pain, I think I had like 2 minutes where the pain was a bit less. And that is when my boss decides to put me on the ground and call the nurse's office that works in my company. We have nurses because we're a chemistry firm, and that is just obligated. We need to have those. So she calls the nurses against my will, against my dad's will. I understand that she did that. I'm thankful in the end that she did that as well. At this point, I was sure that I was going to pass out. I was losing the will to fight. I was so tired, I was exhausted, and I knew that it wasn't done yet. I knew in my heart that it wasn't done yet, and that I was going to go through this for a really long time. So from that moment on, I had like extreme pain all the way through, but like every 2 minutes I would have a minute-long attack that was like horrendous, that was 10 times worse than the pain that I was already in. So I would like, it looked like I was having contractions, which sounds so stupid, but that's what everyone in the firm described it as. It looked like I was having contractions, but in my head. So it literally went in waves. So every 2 minutes I'm having those little attacks that last about 2 minutes. Last about a minute of extreme pain, and after that minute I'm just exhausted, and knowing that they're gonna come again in a few minutes just absolutely crushed me. I was too tired to cry, but I felt like crying the whole time, and I felt like giving up, and I felt like I didn't want to do this anymore. I was in extreme pain, so they decided to give me oxygen because I just apparently looked really pale, and I was starting to like do something weird with my breathing. Some nurses from the firm, they decided to give me oxygen, and that is when another attack occurs that lasted a bit longer than a few minutes and was really intense. Afterwards, I just couldn't talk for a few minutes. I was having trouble breathing, and you know, the legs were still shaking. and the nurses from my firm decided to call the ambulance, which I'm not too excited about, but you know, they called the ambulance. We never had to do that before, but I think everyone kind of noticed that this pain wasn't gonna stop. I had already taken all the medication that I was allowed to take from my neurologist, and I couldn't do this anymore. I think everyone was seeing that I was giving up and that I was ready to give up, and that the most scary part for me whilst waiting for the ambulance to arrive is that I was thinking to myself, if this migraine kills me right now, I don't care. I do not mind. And that's a scary thought, because I do not want to die. I don't want my life to end. But at that point, I was in so much pain that I wouldn't even care if something worse happened, which is so bad. I know it sounds so bad, but yeah. The ambulance guys arrive. I don't know how to describe this, and I don't know how it is in other countries, but our ambulance has 2 paramedics in it. They're not nurses, they're not doctors, they're paramedics who have had, I think, 6 months of education. So they went to school for like 6 months, where they learn everything about first aid, emergency care and all of that. They're not allowed to give you medication, they're not allowed to get an IV started. They're literally just there for like first aid, to help you with your wounds, you know, just to kind of see whether you need to go to a hospital, whether they need to call in someone else. They're just literally there for first aid, and normally they're enough. Like normally our paramedics from the ambulance are enough, we don't need to call in anyone else. But when they arrived, they like asked me, you know, some questions, and they decided that they were gonna call in the MUG. I do not know what this is called in other countries. Maybe it's like the rapid response vehicle or something, I don't know. In the MUG, it's like the mobile urgency group, that's what it's called. And there's a doctor, an urgency care doctor, and an urgency care nurse in that car. They called them because they were like, this woman is in too much pain and she needs a doctor and a nurse to help her go to the hospital. While the paramedics are there, I'm starting to get really bad. Like the pain was going up, the pain level was going up, and I was starting to respond later and wasn't really able to respond as well anymore. And I started to notice that answering was hard, and you know, it was really, really difficult. So my lab where I work is on the 2nd floor, and we do not have any elevators. So what the paramedics decide is to put me in a chair and drag me down the stairs, which was horrible, because I was getting so many attacks on the stairs, where they needed to sat me down, where they needed to put me down. I was squeezing those poor boys' hands from the paramedics. I was squeezing them, I was kicking them, I was not doing good. And they put me in the ambulance, the doctor, the nurse arrived, they get an IV started, they take some blood as well, they give me some medication, and they rush me to the hospital. I've only been to the hospital once for my migraine, and never did I have to call the ambulance for it. I'm so against that. I don't normally do that, but this was really necessary if you look at how bad my state was. The ambulance ride to the hospital was horrible, because the sirens were killing me, and the whole ride to the hospital was one big migraine attack. The paramedic covered my ears the whole ride. I'm so thankful for this guy. My paramedics were angel boys. They were so nice. They made me feel so safe. I'm so grateful for them. I'm so grateful for how they helped me and how patient they were with me. I'm honestly so grateful. So yeah, they bring me to the hospital, I get like an injection in my leg, people sit with me for a while, and after a few hours I'm okay to go home because my pain level goes down. I think after all, my attack started at 1 and I was home at 8:30. So the attack lasted for 7 hours almost, which is really long, which is longer than my usual ones. And let me tell you, I had to recover from this for so long. It is now Thursday, so almost 7 days later, and I'm still not fully recovered. On Saturday, the day after, I couldn't do anything. I just laid in bed the whole day. On Sunday, I did go to work, but I was supposed to do a 10-hour shift, but after 5 hours, I was completely exhausted, so I didn't still stay my whole shift. On Monday, I was doing quite fine, but then on Tuesday and Wednesday, I came home and I slept for so long. I'm gonna insert some pictures that might be a little bit graphic, so if you can't handle that, skip a minute ahead. My body was filled with bruises. I didn't take loads of pictures, but yeah, my body was filled with bruises. I had scratch marks on my head, like I had wounds in my hair from pulling my hair as well. I had all these kinds of wounds on my fingers as well. My skin was just picked open until it was bleeding, which obviously is really bad. I was biting on it. So I had all these kinds of wounds on my hands as well. My chest, I don't know, I think I must have smashed it or hit it or something, because that was completely red, as well as my knee, who was completely swollen and red as well, and my hand as well had some bruising on it, as well as my back. I don't have lots of pictures of my back because yeah, it's not easy to take. So yeah, I had bruises. I was so sore. My whole body was sore for a few days. It was not good. Honestly, it was not good. I'm still recovering, to the point where today I had another migraine attack, which was a bit worse than I am used to, and I worked for 4 hours and came home and then slept for 5, even though I already slept for 10 hours last night. So my body is exhausted. Mentally, I'm not doing good right now, and that's something that I'm wanting to tell you, because it has a really huge impact on your life. My co-workers all saw me in a state that I never wanted them to see me in, and they told me that they started to cry when seeing me. They had nightmares, they felt sick when they saw me, and I feel horrible that I made people feel that way. I felt horrible that the ambulance guys needed to come all the way to my work, as well as the doctor and the nurse. I just felt so guilty for everyone in my life, and right now I'm not doing good mentally because it's a really huge step back for me, and I was doing so good, and for the last week I had the last week has been pain-wise worse than I was used to the last 6 months. It's not been as bad as on Friday, but it's not good either, which just crushes me because I want to feel better and I'm not. I think I just want to tell my story because I think people sometimes don't realize how intense migraine attacks can be, and that we actually need to call the ambulance and the mobile urgency group to come to your workplace and pick you up, because you're not able to walk anymore, you're not able to talk, you're not able to sit up, you're not able to do anything for hours, and your body needs to recover for days. It's been a week and I'm not fully recovered, and I know very well that it's going to take me a while until my body is fully recovered from this. I am going back to my neurologist because we're kind of thinking that maybe I have cluster headaches instead of migraine, or the combination of both. So I need to go back to my neurologist next week. If I have updates on that, I will definitely let you know. But yeah, that's the story basically. I honestly hope that no one of you needs to go through something like this, because for me this was the worst day of my life, and I hope I never have to go through that again, because I'm not sure if I'm capable of going through that again. I don't think that I can go through that kind of pain again. And just thinking about it once makes me want to cry, because I don't want to remember the pain anymore. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to relive that moment because it were the scariest hours of my life, and I have never seen my dad so scared about something that happened to me. So it was serious, and it makes me realize how serious migraines can be and how scary they can be for yourself, but also for everyone around you. And I just hope that no one of you needs to go through that. I just wanted to come on here and share my story. I honestly do not know why. Definitely not for you guys to feel sorry for me. I don't want you to do that. But I think it's important to share your story about stuff, because we always share the good stuff on social media, and we need to start sharing the bad moments as well. I think that's important. So yeah, next video will be a lot happier and a lot more fun again, and not as serious anymore. Bye guys.